Over the stone walls. Snapping erect, Varan said, "Let's explore the ancient ruins." The Psi Master grasped her round the waist. His power surged and they flew into the air, soaring over the broken stone wall. Rosa laughed. Flying in his arms was wonderful. She leaned against him, enjoying the tingle of his radiated power. To her disappointment, the flight was short. He landed on the other side of the wall. Ahead, an arch and a second stone enclosure beckoned further on. "Strange," he said. "This wall shows little erosion." Indeed, the stone walls had few visible breaks. The Psi Master strode toward the arched entrance, oblivious of the ominous silence. The friendly alien monkeys had vanished, and a menace loomed in her sensitive mind. Shivering in apprehension, Rosa hesitated. She pulled out her laser, ready for trouble, and ran to catch up with Varan. She stepped under the stone arch at his heels. He halted and gripped her arm, gazing ahead. "Look," he cried. "We found the source of the signal." A pillar of solid rock stood in the center of the enclosure, half covered in blue-green vines. On top of the pillar, eerie blue lights reflected from the facets of crystals mounted in a metal bowl. The Psi Master took a step forward and reached out to touch the crystals. Shrill cries of warning broke the silence, and 6 monkeys leaped into the stone enclosure. "No!" Rosa screamed and tugged at his arm. His hand paused below the bowl of crystals. The bowl rotated, and the crystals shot crackling violet beams into the dull sky. Recoiling swiftly, Varan glanced at Rosa. "Your instincts are correct. The place is dangerous." He checked the indicator on his detector and explained, "The crystals emitted lethal radiation. Even a Psi Master is not immune to the deadly rays. It's lucky we didn't fly directly over the pillar." Rosa nodded, wide-eyed and speechless with fright. He shrugged, "We'll leave the detector by the pillar. We can do little more, since we cannot stay safely in the ruins. I'll have to devise a protection against the radiation." Chitters announced the monkeys' claim for Rosa's attention. 3 monkeys scurried out from behind the pillar. She sensed their friendly intentions. One scampered to her on 4 legs, grasping an object between its 2 front limbs. It offered her a dull red stone cupped in its 6-fingered hands. Rosa took the stone. She felt sharp edges on the stone instead of a smooth surface. "Thank you for the gift, my friend," she said in wonder. She opened her hand to show Varan the gift from the alien monkey. He placed his hand under hers and murmured, "You have a ruby jewel." His power trickled through her fingers, and the facets of the gem glinted crimson. He pulled out the sensor probe. "Let me check for radiation. This ruby is safe." "I'm sure the monkeys understand," she said, slipping the jewel into her belt pouch. "Truly amazing," he remarked. "Your empathic talent led us here and kept me safe. I'll double your bonus for successful completion of the job." Glancing at his severe face, Rosa smiled her thanks. The warm expression in his green eyes made her flush with pleasure. Clasping his warm hands around hers, he stuttered, What are your plans when you return home, Rosa? Will you visit your family for the Festival of Lights?" Unsure how to interpret his uncharacteristic embarrassment, she shook her head and muttered, "I have no family to visit. My parents are dead." His eyes glowed and his words burst out, "Will you be my guest for the festival? You would be doing me a great favor. A Psi Master soon outlives his nearest relatives and friends." "Oh yes, Varan, I'd love to spend the festival with you," Rosa blurted quickly in case he would retract his offer. Her eyes widened as she sensed his mental shield loosening. The Psi Master's emotions coiled into her consciousness. She became aware of the warmth of his passion restrained by keen intelligence. Rosa tilted up her head and blasted him with her pent-up desires. He moaned in delight. His arms slipped around her back and she wrapped her hands around his neck. Power surged sweetly through her nerves as their lips met in a long kiss. Happiness sang through her and was echoed in his mind. Later, he murmured, "We'll return to the flitter and fly to my mansion to celebrate the festival. Afterwards, when I've devised better tools, we can return to examine these ruins." Rosa beamed in pleasure at his words. She would be his companion even after the festival. "Can we talk to the monkeys?" "Of course, intelligent aliens are well worth studying." He slipped his arms around her waist. They rose into the air and soared over the trees towards the flitter. Behind them, purple lights flared into the sky from the crystals mounted on top of the pillar. Embraced in his strong arms, Rosa gave thanks for the bountiful gifts of Jangalore. She had received the ruby crystal from the alien monkeys and discovered the ancient site. After 3 years of struggle, finally her debts would be paid off. Most of all, she was grateful for Varan's wonderful kiss and his invitation to the festival with hints of a future together. She would celebrate the Festival of Lights with Psi Master Varan in the joyous start of the new year and a new life. The end. Message from Aurora Springer. Thank you for reading Gifts of Jangalore. If you enjoyed this story, please tell your friends and leave a short review. Word of mouth is an author's best friend and much appreciated. I love to hear what my readers liked about my stories. This short story is set in the Grand Master's galaxy. If you would like to explore more adventures in this world, I invite you to read Grand Master's Pawn, Book 1 of my series, Grand Master's Galaxy. The main series is set a few hundred years after the events in Gifts of Jangalore, and the Jangalorean monkeys have been adopted as assistants to the Grand Masters. You can visit my website at www.auroraspringer.org to learn more about my books. If you sign up for my newsletter, you can get a free copy of Grand Master's Pawn.